Tales of Estolia by Sasheena read by Ken Moss. The Promise of Zacharias, Part 1. Chapter 1. The Ankhamun. 721 years before the current era. Though my bones crumble, and the dust be scattered to the four winds, still I achieve immortality in the living world, if that which I inscribe in stone persists. Key. Inscription on the mossy rock. Zacharias and Cayman, the first mate on the Ankhamun, both watched as Tabor, the newly hired seaman, helped the invaders tie their small vessel to the Ankhamun and climb aboard. Their words, softly spoken, were in a Moorish dialect. For Zacharias, it was hard to wait and watch as they moved away from the rail towards the small pile of crates heaped haphazardly on the deck, where Tabor stealthily carried them the previous half hour. One crate was partially opened, and as the full moon slid out from behind the scattered clouds in the night sky, they could see the glint of gold within. When the marauders were all grouped around Tabor's plunder, Zacharias looked at Cayman. He nodded. It was time. They carefully climbed down from the rigging, beckoning to the rest of the guards who had remained strategically hidden on the deck, signaling them to be prepared. While they were docked at Estolia a day and a half ago, Zacharias was enjoying a drink when Tabor entered the quiet establishment followed by 3 other men. He greeted Zacharias cordially in heavily accented Anoxian and then sat at a nearby table. The 4 men spoke in the Moorish tongue, a variant on the language of Chela. Tabor arranged with the others when and where they should board the Ankhamun and remove much of the pharaoh's treasure. Zacharias maintained a stoic, uninterested countenance during their entire discussion. Tabor must have thought that Zacharias was deaf, simple, or a fool. No fool, Zacharias sought to acquaint the first mate with the information about the upcoming raid. Captain Kafares was with Cayman, and Zacharias was invited to share what he knew, and afterwards to be an active participant in their discussion on the best response to the information that they now possessed. The fight, when it came, was short. The pirates had no chance against their organized repulsion. Zacharias focused his attention on Tabor, while the others took on the pirates. They caught them by surprise, and Tabor was no match for Zacharias' skill with the blade. He felt his sword sinking into Tabor's gut and hid a shudder of distaste. Their eyes met, and he knew the moment Tabor's soul fled. He lifted one foot and pushed against his chest, disengaging him from the sword and throwing him overboard to feed the leviathans already awaiting their meal. He did not wait to see how the voracious creatures of the deep received their tribute. He swiveled and crouched, ready to deal with any of the other marauders. His caution was unnecessary. The first mate was already trussing up the last of the 7 pirates on the deck. Zacharias carefully wiped the blade of his sword before putting it back in its scabbard. He joined the first mate and Captain Kafares, who were discussing their captive's fate. 2 of the pirates looked like they had not yet reached puberty and were identical in appearance. One pirate cursed long and fluently until a guard gave him a none-too-gentle prod in the back. In the ensuing silence, the captain said,
"Pirates are a scourge here in the seas of Centrarth, taking that which they have not earned, including the lives of those who make an honest living. I see no reason for leniency. We will therefore tie each of you to the deck of your ship and then sink it, so that neither you nor your vessel will ever again trouble the righteous plying these waters."
The pirates were all dragged to their feet. The oldest man, clearly the leader of the pirates, begged the captain of the Ankhamun.
"Spare my sons, I beg of you. They are twins, not even men, and they can serve you on your ship. Please have mercy, one captain to another."
Captain Kafares looked from the pirate to the 2 young boys. Zacharias thought they must be only 10 or 12 years old. Unlike the teak-colored complexion of their father, their skin had a golden hue and their eyes were dark, shining with intelligence. They were watching the exchange, but did not beg or plead for their lives as some might.
"I go to the court of the 7 gods of Centrarth," the pirate captain said, speaking more to his sons than the captain of the Ankhamun, "to pay for my crimes and beg lenience for my kin who come after me."
He switched his attention from his sons to the captain and said,
"They are hard workers, and they will serve you and your vessel with loyalty."
You swear this?
Captain Keferes demanded of the 2 young men. They nodded in unison, and one of the 2 boys stated, his young voice solemn and serious,
"We swear upon our honor, under penalty of eternal death, with the 7 deities of Centrarth as our witness, that we will serve this vessel with utmost loyalty."
Zacharias felt the flush of destiny, as he liked to call it, that prickling of the skin that told him he was witnessing something extraordinary. When the captain agreed, he felt proud to serve aboard the Ankhamun. Integrity was not enough. Mercy was another quality of character he valued. The 2 youngsters stood with the rest of the crew, watching as the pirates were secured to the rails and mast of the smaller vessel. The hull showed signs of a recent repair, and the first mate pried loose the boards. Those aboard the Ankhamun could see water rushing through the aperture, flooding the ship. Once the first mate was back on board, Captain Keferes had his crew maneuver the ship away from the doomed vessel, and they waited and watched as the bow sank lower and lower until the entire vessel slid seamlessly to the depths.
"May the 7 deities accept our tribute this day,"
Zacharias said softly. He took a deep breath and then said to the first mate,
"The weather looks to be turning. I'll go aloft. Keep an eye out for those who would target us in foul weather."
He had liked Tabor for the short time he knew the man. He felt soiled that he was made not only to explain what he had overheard, but be the man to pass judgment on Tabor. Once he was at his post, Zacharias scanned the horizon, looking for additional pirate vessels. All he saw was the dim iron-grey background of the sea and sky merging with one another, brooded over by the lowering clouds. It was a fast-approaching, unpredictable storm, typical for this region. The rising sun was hidden behind the sodden clouds. He heard the uncomfortable whinnies of the horses and the cries of his shipmates to one another. These sounds were muted when jagged lightning was punctuated by a clap of thunder. The storm raged around him. He was preparing to secure himself to the mast when a massive jolt almost threw him from his perch. The sharp crack of wood splintering and sudden dramatic listing to the side had him hanging on the rigging, scrambling for a more secure hold on the broken mast. He saw the horses were loose on the deck, whinnying in fear and anxiety as the surface under their hooves lurched and heaved in the tempestuous sea. Another deafening roar of thunder punctuated the lightning, and he saw the horses plunging through a break in the rail into the sea. The high-pitched scream of a woman drew his attention. He saw her attempting to swim beneath him, where the broken mast overhung the seething sea. She was struggling to stay above the waves, and he feared she would drown swiftly without help. Another lurch of the ship, and the mast splintered further. He dove into the water, hoping to rescue the maiden, but realized his mistake instantly. His sword was dragging him into the depths. He could not surface with it strapped to his side. He would have to offer it as tribute to the 7 deities, and hope they accepted the offering and allowed him to live. All these thoughts rushed through his mind in the moments before he unfastened his scabbard and released it. He shot to the surface and gulped in a deep breath before beginning his search for the woman. The horses were no longer visible. A desperate, spluttering cry oriented him. He saw the flash of her face before the water dragged her down once more, threatening to consume her just as it had consumed his sword. He dove after her, reaching her swiftly. He wrapped his arm around her ribcage and pulled her with him back to the stormy surface of the water. He could no longer see the Ankhamun, but what he did see was welcome. The bulk of land.